A story from Daniel. King Darius the Mede decided to divide his kingdom into 120 provinces, and he appointed a high officer to rule over each province. He also chose Daniel and 2 others to be administrators, to supervise the high officers and to protect the king's interests. Daniel soon proved more capable than all the other administrators and the high officers. Because of his great ability, the king made plans to place Daniel over the entire kingdom. But the other administrators and the high officers began to search for some fault with the way that Daniel was handling government affairs. But they could find nothing to criticize, nothing to condemn. He was reliable, always responsible, and completely trustworthy. So they concluded our only chance of finding grounds for accusing Daniel will be in connection with the rules of his religion. So they went to the king, and they said, "Long live King Darius. Your Majesty, we are all in agreement, we administrators and officials and high officers and advisors and governors, that you should sign a law that will be strictly enforced. So now make a decree that for the next 30 days, any person who prays to anyone, divine or human, except to you, Your Majesty, will be thrown into the den of lions. Yes, issue and sign this decree. A law of the Medes and the Persians that cannot be revoked." So the king signed the law. Now when Daniel heard that this law had been signed, he went, as usual, and knelt down in his upper room with its windows open toward Jerusalem. He prayed to God 3 times a day, just as he had always done, giving thanks to God. Now, the administrators and high officers came to Daniel's house, and they found him praying and asking for God's help. So they went back to the king and reminded him of his law. "Did you not just sign a law that for the next 30 days, any person who prays to anyone, divine or human, except to you, Your Majesty, would be thrown into the den of lions?" The king said, "Yes, that decision stands. It is an official law of the Medes and the Persians that cannot be revoked." "Well," they said, "that man, Daniel, one of the captives from the land of Judah, is ignoring you and your law. He still prays to his God 3 times a day." When the king heard this, he was deeply troubled, and he tried to think of a way to save Daniel. He spent the rest of the day looking for a way to get Daniel out of this predicament. But when evening came, the men returned, and they said, "Your Majesty, you know that according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, any law that the king has signed cannot be changed." So at last the king gave orders for Daniel to be arrested and thrown into the den of lions. He said to Daniel, "May your God, whom you serve so faithfully, rescue you." A stone was brought and was placed over the mouth of the lion's den. And the king sealed it with his own royal seal and the seals of all his nobles, so that no one could rescue Daniel. Then the king returned to the palace and spent the night fasting. He refused all of his usual entertainments, and he couldn't sleep at all that night. Early in the morning, the king got up and hurried out to the lion's den. And he cried out in anguish, "Daniel, servant of the living God, was your God whom you serve so faithfully able to save you?" And Daniel replied, "Long live King Darius. My God sent his angel to shut the lions' mouths so that they would not harm me. For I have been found innocent in his sight, and I have not wronged you, your majesty." When the king heard this, he was overjoyed, and he ordered that Daniel be lifted out of the lion's den. Not a scratch was found on him, for he had trusted God.